jai, Ramacharya Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem Shri Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaur Bhakti ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Govindana Shamakunda Radha Kunda ki jai, Shri Vrindavan ki jai, Shri Navadvip Dham ki jai, Shri Navadvip Dham ki jai, Gam Gamaya ki jai, Jamuna Maya ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Dosa Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Om Premanandi. The Lord of the Assembly, our glorious and some devotees, the Lord of the Assembly, Lord of Shri Guru Vishnu.
and His Holiness Jai Prataka Swami Maharaj, and her husband Hari Guru Goradas serves as a personal doctor for His Holiness Jai Prataka Maharaj. Mataji also has a startup called Me Thai, I hope I'm pronouncing that properly, which is registered under the Canadian Startup Visa Program and aims to provide financial literacy education to kids. She has fun-filled courses aiming to teach kids how to budget, the importance of savings and investing, and the basics of banking. So Mataji is here today to give a workshop on this today. So if you're a Sunday school kid, looking at you guys, and if you're youth, around my age, you know who you are, please meet us on the 3rd floor upstairs. She'll be doing a workshop for us on this topic. It's only in English though, so there's that. But the class today will be given by His Grace Lakshmana Prabhu. Donc la classe aujourd'hui sera donnée par sa classe Lakshmana Prabhu. C'est une classe bilingue, donc ça va être traduit en même temps qu'il parle en anglais. Donc yeah, that's about it. So thank you very much, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the piece. Thank you. Haribol.
d'abord, quand tu parles par semaine, c'est bien, ça va être plus spontané. Je m'excuse, mais malheureusement, il semble que la participation de nos groupes français est jeu. Et je crois qu'ils font des révélations des trucs en haut. Alors, la pièce. Alors, si je peux bien comprendre, vous avez combien de personnes qui ne parlent pas l'anglais dans la salle? Vous levez votre main. Vous avez cette dame ici. Est-ce que vous parlez français, anglais? Soprano? Je pense que juste cette dame ici, ici sur la chaise. Tu parles avec des en français ou tu vas traduire? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the second chapter, contents of the Gita summarized, text 51. Fancy. Karma Buddhi Yuktahi Param Jamamanishina Jamabanda Vimamta Padam Gajantya Namayam. Well, see, you have the word for word. Karma Jana, due to fruitive activities. Buddhi Yukta, being engaged in devotional service. He, certainly. Palam, results. Tyakva, giving up. Manushana, great sages or devotees. Janmabandha, from the bondage of birth and death. Vinirmukta, liberated. Padam, position. Gajanti, they reach. Anamaya, without miseries. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages, devotees, free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries, going back to Godhead. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, the liberated living entities belong to that place where there is no material miseries. Bhagavatam 10:14-58 says, Samashthitage padabalava tatavam mahatpadam punya yasho morale bhavam budera vatsa padam param padam 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 yati padam natesham. For one who has accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation and is famous as the Kunda, the giver of mukti, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in the calf's footprint, parampadam, or the place where there is no material miseries, or Vaikuntha, is his goal, not the place where there is danger in every step of life. Owing to ignorance, one does not know that this material world is a miserable place where there's danger at every step. Out of ignorance only, a less intelligent person try to adjust to the situation by fruitive activities, thinking that the resultant action will make them happy. They do not know that no kind of material body anywhere within the universe can give life without miseries. The miseries of life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease, are present everywhere within the material world. But one who understands his real constitutional position as the eternal servant of the Lord, and thus knows the position of the personality of Godhead, engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Consequently, he becomes qualified to enter into Vaikuntha planets, where there is neither material, miserable life, nor the influence of time and death. To To know one's constitutional position means to know also the sublime position of the Lord. One who wrongly thinks that the living entity's position and the Lord's position are on the same level is to be understood to be in the darkness and therefore unable to engage himself in devotional service of the Lord. He becomes a Lord himself and thus paves the way for the repetition of birth and death. But one who, understanding that his position is to serve, transfers himself to the service of the Lord and at once becomes eligible for Vaikuntha. Such service for the cause of the Lord is called karma yoga, or buddhi yoga, or in plain words, devotional service to the Lord. Karma jan buddhi dahe padakatva manishanaha jamba panda vidyasaha padam prachankya anamayam. By thus engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great strangers or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. This way they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attaining a state beyond all miseries by going back to God. So this is the plan. The plan is to somehow go back to God and go back to Krishna. We see in the spiritual world, as Prabhupada explains in the purport, birth, death, disease, old age, is there for everyone. And there are other miseries, different relations. Aarti means this body, the mind, is always giving us trouble. In one way or the other. Sometimes we get different diseases, sometimes we get just bitten by mosquitoes, but any kind of misery is there with this body. Sometimes we're hungry, sometimes we're tired, sometimes we're this, we're that, sometimes we're distressed. Many people are so distressed they want to commit suicide. People take pills for depression. It's a big thing nowadays. People are very much depressed. Activity of the mind. So that is Adi Atmik. Adibhotik means nature. Just like now in Canada we have all these fires in Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, British Columbia, so many fires. Their homes are being threatened, some of their homes are burning down and so forth. People are leaving, not knowing what they'll come back to. So, material nature is causes so much distress and anxiety. Sometimes there's flooding, hurricanes, cold weather, hot weather. So it is another suffering. And the demigods, those who are in charge, just like, as mentioned, the fires. One of the reasons there's fires in Canada is there's not enough rain, too much drought. California, so many fires we had last year also, too much, not enough water. So the demigods are not supplying the necessities of rain and so forth. So again, some more suffering. And Krishna says, Padam Padam Nani Padam Nadesham, at every step there will be misery. And our whole endeavor through economic development, we want everyone to get a good job, get educated, get a good job, make a lot of money, then you'll enjoy life. You won't suffer because you'll have so much money you can spend. And artificial intelligence will make miracles, and the electric vehicles will also make miracles. We have all these different things that we're trying to invent to create miracles on this world so that everyone will enjoy life. And we say that, happy birthday, when it's someone's birthday, we have a nice cake, happy birthday, happy new year, we say happy new year, have a nice day, have a happy day, have a day. We're hoping that there'll be some nice thing. But that's not what Krishna says. That up to even Brahmaloka. Even if you could go up to Brahmaloka, still there's misery right there. Why is misery? If God is all powerful, He should make everything perfect so we can enjoy it. So therefore, either God is not, sometimes we question either God is not all-powerful or God is not all-loving. Because if we're the children of God, Krishna says, Aham bija pratak pita. He's our Father. Why would He create a situation for us to be happy? And it's not every parent, anyone who has children, what is your concern? Oh, let me make my baby happy. Let me create a situation by which my baby, my boy, my girl will be very prosperous, will be very happy. So if God is the Father of everyone, why is He making us suffer? He must be a cruel God. The point is we're not in the right place. That's the difficulty. If you go to the north and Antarctica, if you go right up north, you'll freeze. Because you're not in the right place. And if you wait here in the winter, you'll also freeze. Because you're not in the right place. Some people are smart. They go to Florida, they go down south in the winter. The snowbirds. So, Krishna describes that this material world as a suffering place because we're not meant to be here. The spirit soul is not meant to be in the material world. Actually, we've been cursed to be in the material world. It's a curse upon us. The spirit soul doesn't need this body. So this body's impediment is something imposed upon us. It's something forced upon us. And we're trying to make the best use of the bad bargain. And sometimes people feel they have such a bad bargain, they go to plastic surgery, they want to change their face, they want to change this, change their hips, change it, make themselves more beautiful, more attractive, because they don't like the body they're living. Sometimes a boy wants to become a girl wants to become a boy. We see that now. People are so confused. As if by changing one to the other, you become happy. But the girls are not happy, the boys are not happy. So even if you change that, you won't be happy. Because there's no happiness in the material world. And actually, it is a blessing. This curse is actually a blessing. This suffering is actually a blessing. Why? Because when you're suffering, that's when you go to see a doctor. When you have some suffering, some pain here, some pain there, or I cannot move my arm, or I cannot do this, I have stiff neck, something, headache, then I have to go see a doctor. So this is not right, something's wrong with me. But if you never felt pain, like there's some cancers, like stomach cancer, by the time you find the pain, it's gone all over your body. It's a silent killer in that sense. So there are different things, like people get heart attacks, strokes. They didn't know they had problems. All of a sudden, bang, they have that. Because there was no sign, there was no pain. So pain is actually a good thing. Pain causes us to change, to question life. Just like Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was the grandson of Arjuna. His son, Arjuna's son was Abhimanyu. And his wife, Abhimanyu's wife, was Uttara. So, of course, Abhimanyu was killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. Even the Pandavas were not oblivious to the suffering of this world. They had to fight this battle of Kurukshetra. And Krishna told Ashwatthama's father, Dronacharya, he was the guru, it was difficult to kill him. So Krishna told that Yudhishthira, you say that Ashwatthama was killed. So Yudhishthira refused. He was known as Dharmaraj, the one who never told any lie. He was so virtuous. So then Krishna said, okay, there was an elephant named Ashwatthama had been killed. So he said, you say Ashwatthama, the elephant is killed. So Yudhishthira, because he was so truthful, when he said, Dronacharya thought that my son has been killed. So he lost all his impetus, all his desire to fight. And the Pandavas killed him. So Ashwatthama was very saddened to see his father killed in that way, in a cheating way, fashion. So later on, near the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, he went to see Duryodhana. Duryodhana, his ties had been broken by Bhima. Bhima had taken a vow that he would
break the ties of Bhima, of Duryodhana, because Duryodhana told, okay, their wife, Draupadi, you come and sit. So, anyway, so he went to see at the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, and only 3 people that survived, Prasadam, Kritakarma, and the little fellow, I forget now. So anyway, what Ashwatthama decided to do, he decided to kill the Pandavas at night, which was not the way of the Kshatras would fight. Normally the Kshatriya would fight during the day. They would blow a conch shell, they would fight, and then blow another conch shell, and when the sun was setting, that was it. And they would even go to each other's camps. This was a chivalry, the proper way of fighting, with being noble, not like today. So, Ashwatthama killed the 5, thinking he was killing the 5 Pandavas sleeping, but actually they were the 5 sons of the Pandavas. And then he thought, let me kill Parikshit, who was the final heir of this dynasty, the Pandavas. That way they'll be completely wiped. So he sent the Brahmastra to kill Parikshit. One of the names of Parikshit is also Vishnurata. Because Uttara ran to Krishna when she felt the heat of the Brahmastra, and she begged Krishna to save her child, Parikshit. So Krishna entered, and with his chakra, the Sudarshan chakra, he saved it. He neutralized the Brahmastra and saved Maharaj Parikshit. So later, Maharaj Parikshit became the heir of the king when the Pandavas left and then, in exile. After the battle of Kurukshetra, he became the king. But one day, he went to the forest, and he was very, very thirsty. So he went to the hermitage of Samika, a sage, and he was expecting the sage to offer him some water to drink and some place to sit. But the sage was in full meditation, not recognizing Maharaj Parikshit. So Maharaj Parikshit put a snake, a dead snake, feeling offended, he put a dead snake around the sage's shoulders. So later, when his son, Shringi, heard that his father had been insulted in this way, he cursed Maharaj Parikshit to die within 7 days. Now, Maharaj Parikshit could have neutralized that curse, being a very powerful king. Or he could have prayed to Krishna to save him. But he accepted that curse. He thought, this is a blessing. He left his kingdom, went to the banks of the Ganges. And there, because he was such a great personality, so many sages came. And he expressed to them, what is the business of anyone, especially human beings? What is the business? But especially someone who's about to die. What is our business ultimately? So different sages proposed so many different things. Some prayashchitta, some sacrifice, some this thing, giving some charity. But when Sukadeva Goswami came, he presented that the best thing is to hear about Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. The glory of Bhagavan, Krishna. And therefore, Maharaj Parikshit for 7 days he heard. Until the snake Takshaka came and bit him. That was the curse. That within 7 days, the snake Takshaka will come and bite you and kill you. Now, of course, this Takshaka was a snake prior. When Arjuna and Krishna went to the Kandavaka forest, that snake was there. And Agni was trying to burn that forest because there was a king who performed so much sacrifice that Agni's fire had been extinguished. So much ghee had been put in the fire that it finally extinguished. If you have a fire and you throw so much material in it, you'll choke the fire. So Agni's fire was choked. So he was trying to swallow the forest because there were so many herbs and different things. But because Dakshaka was a disciple Agni would try to burn the forest, Indra would pour rain and prevent it from being burned. So when Krishna and Arjuna went there, Agni disguised himself as a Brahman and he begged protection from the Kshatriya. Of course, Arjuna and Krishna, they were Kshatriyas. So they gave protection, and then finally Agni revealed who he was. So when Indra tried to shower so much rain, Arjuna shot so many arrows, he created an umbrella of arrows that protected. But this snake, Takshaka, was also there, and his family burnt in the fire. So later he took revenge by killing Parikshit, who was the grandson of Arjuna. But the point being is that Parikshit Maharaj knew, although he was the king, not of just a little country, the whole earth, Bharatvarsha, the whole planet was known as Bharatvarsha. The whole planet was his domain. He was ruling everything 5,000 years ago. We cannot even imagine what kind of kingdom and opulence and what kind of ruling he was doing. But he gave it up voluntarily to go and hear about Krishna, Krishna Katha. At the time of death, what are we going to think? If we have not prepared, just like a student, he goes to school, but he has to prepare for the exam. If he doesn't prepare for the exam, for sure he'll fail. But if he prepares very nicely, then the exam is not meant to punish the student. The exam is meant to show the student what he's actually learned. That is the whole idea. Now, what have you actually learned? You sat in this class for so long, now there's an exam. If you're well prepared, you should be able to pass this test. You should be able to pass the exam. And if you're not, if you just wasted your time, then for sure you'll fail. So as human beings, what is our test? This life is like the school. We're like in the class. We're meant to learn things throughout our lives. And then, at the time of death, what have we learned? Will money help us? No. Will the doctors ultimately help us? No. Will our family help us? No one. Who's going to help us? Nobody. Only Krishna. So that is the lesson we're meant to learn. And that is the example that Maharaj Parikshit showed. Even though he was a king, he quit everything. He left everything behind and went to the banks of the Ganges. And he heard for 7 days the Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, in one sense, he was cursed, unfortunately, because he knew he had 7 days to live. We're cursed, but we don't know how long. How long is this curse? Is the curse for 1 day? Because as soon as we take birth, we're dying. We're not going towards life, we're actually going towards death. Every one of us. And this is not something to scare anyone, it's not something to depress anyone, this is something to sheer reality. Because we're not meant to be in these bodies. There's a whole other existence, a whole other world. Golok Vrindavan, that's where we're supposed to be. Vaikuntha, a place where there's no anxiety, no frustration, no misery. No effort for our existence. People don't have to work a 9 to 5 or get stuck in traffic and pay their bills and all these different things. In the spiritual world, that doesn't exist. There's no even factor of time. In the material world, time is a factor that eliminates everything. With time, everything gets destroyed. Just like this building, if we don't take care of it, with time it'll just fall apart. So in the material world, everything is going towards a destructive aspect. It's not temporary. Everything is temporary in the material world. And these bodies are also temporary. So we've taken birth, but actually the soul is eternal. So we've entered in these bodies, and there's a certain time by which we'll stay in these bodies, no matter what we do. And the human form of life is a great privilege because we can inquire about life. Who am I? What am I doing here? What is the purpose of life? And we can relish Krishna consciousness. We can relish the philosophy of Krishna consciousness. We can relish the chanting of our Krishna. We can relish the association with very presence. Krishna has made himself very easy in this age. Kalokera Prasadam Harinam Sankirtan. And just by chanting Krishna's name, we can associate with Krishna. And because Krishna's name, because God is absolute, the name and Krishna is not different. So some of us who are fortunate will hear this philosophy, take it to heart, and try to see, okay, how am I going to apply myself to this philosophy? How am I going to perfect my life? Because everything that I do that is not on the transcendental platform, if it's on the material platform, it will be temporary. It will not endure. And it says that the sages, those who are wise, they don't try to take pleasure with this material world because they know there's a beginning and there's an end. So they want to take their effort, their energy, in something that is permanent. And as Papa was saying in the purport of this verse, how by our state of consciousness we could bring this whole material world the size of a Catholic print. And we can very easily step over. Although this material world seems very gigantic, it is actually very insignificant compared to the spiritual world. But because of our attachment to this world, we put so much emphasis, so much importance on this world that it appears very, very important, very significant. But we can alter, we can change that aspect by focusing on Krishna. Now, focusing on Krishna doesn't mean that we stop all activities, we just sit down and we do nothing. But it means dovetailing our propensity for Krishna. Yat karosi, yat ashnasi, yat jahosi, tadamsi, yat yapakasa, sikonte, yamat purushamarapanam. Krishna told Arjuna, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever activity you perform, do it as an offering unto me. Actually, Arjuna in the battle of Kurukshetra, he didn't want to fight. He was refusing to fight. He told Govinda, I will not fight. And Krishna is enticing him. No, you have to fight. You have to fight. You're a Kshatriya. This is your business. So Krishna is not advocating that Arjuna sit down and do nothing. Just sit on the chariot or just sit there and I'll do everything. He could. Krishna is God. He could do everything. But he wanted Arjuna to do it. So it's not that we're not meant to be active. But as Prabhupada named this society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, our consciousness is meant to be on Krishna. So we have two principles in Krishna consciousness, two main principles. That we do everything to remember Krishna, and we avoid everything that would make us forget Krishna. So when we go through our lives, we can ask ourselves, is this helping me to remember Krishna? So I'm going to work, I'm making some money. Okay, is that good or bad? It depends. Just like a knife. Is the knife good or is the knife bad? Well, if I'm a thief, the knife may be bad. If I'm a crooked person, a rogue, it may be bad because with the knife I might kill somebody. But if I'm a doctor, that knife is actually a blessing because I can operate someone and save that person's life. So the knife itself is not good or bad. It's the intent, it's the consciousness by which the knife is being used. So similarly, nothing is good, nothing is bad. Actually, everything is good in one sense because it's all coming from Krishna. It's all Krishna's energy. But because the material world is bad, because it makes us forget Krishna. It covers us in such a way that we think we're the doer. That we're meant to do. I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm the controller, I'm the enjoyer. Prakriti kriyamanani, gunai karmani sarsaha, amkara vimudharma, amkara vimudharma, kata. I think I'm the doer. And I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and everything around is for my enjoyment. So we have to, that is called lust. When we do things for our own pleasure, that is called our extended pleasure of ourselves. That is called love, lust. But love means when I do something for Krishna. So if I'm making money, I'm going to work, I'm getting money, then I can use my apartment, I can use my house, make it into a temple. Have a nice altar. Doesn't have to be very fancy, very opulent. It can be very simple. But then when I cook something, instead of eating, thinking I will enjoy it, let me offer that to Krishna. When I get up in the morning, I shower, I can open the altar and offer obeisances to Krishna. Krishna says, offer your respect to me, bow down to me. So, is that very difficult? No. Anyone can do that, even a child. Krishna says, Patram pushpam palam toyanam mevatma pranashati. That you can offer me just food, leaf, water. Doesn't have to be something very... And if you have more means, if you have better, then you can offer opulent. But is it difficult? No. Offer a little incense, offer a little flour, a little water. Anyone can do that. And by doing that, we'll develop love for Krishna. We'll develop attachment for Krishna. And that attachment, that love for Krishna, will make it that we'll go back to Krishna. Go back to the spiritual world. We won't be, and we'll become, as we progressively become attached to Krishna, we'll gradually become detached from the world. The spiritual world will not have such an important significance. Just like if you go somewhere and you're traveling somewhere, where you're going is not that important, okay? You need a little place to sleep and so forth, but that is not the purpose of your being there. You're not going to start redecorating the walls, repainting the place, changing the windows, because it's a temporary thing. You're just on vacation. You're just traveling somewhere temporarily. So this spiritual world is like that. It's a very temporary place. So if we get too enamored by this, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and make this, and we try to make all these arrangements for our perfection, our enjoyment, then we'll get distracted. We'll lose sight of the ultimate goal of what the purpose of human life is. So we don't know how many lives we've gone through. There are 8,400,000 species that exist in the mature world. 8,400,000. And we've gone through all these different species. And maybe not just once, maybe repeatedly. Before we finally come to the human form of life. So it's a very rare occasion to have a human form. If you look at a drop of water, there could be hundreds and thousands of microbes in just one drop of water. So compared to the human population, it's so many compared to us. So the human form of life is very rare, and it's meant for one particular purpose, is to become God conscious, to become self-realized. Self-realized means what? The soul should realize that my position is to serve Krishna. Not to serve the government, not to serve the country, not to serve money, not to serve this, that, but to serve Krishna. And anything that I do have, let me utilize it in the service of Krishna. Just like now you've come, some of you may have taken the metro, some of you may have taken a car, some may have taken a bicycle, whatever. Somehow you've taken or you might have walked here, but somehow you've made an effort to come here. Whatever resources, means that you had, you've made an effort to come to the temple to serve Krishna, to see Krishna. So that should be the So anyway, whatever effort, whatever energy we have to try to make it that it becomes centered on Krishna. It's not difficult. It is simply a question of philosophically understanding it and then applying ourselves and then seeing the results. And one of the results is that we'll be free from anxiety. We'll become abide, fearless. Because what are we afraid of? We're afraid of losing things. But when you realize these things don't really belong to me, they belong to Krishna, then no one can take it away. I may think this belongs to me, you may think this belongs to you, you may think that belongs to you, but ultimately it all belongs to God. So there's no loss or gain when you have a proper vision. You're not in stress and anxiety. Krishna's giving it, Krishna's taking it away, it's all to Him. It all belongs to Him to begin with. So if I deserve to get it, Krishna will give it to me, and if I deserve to lose it, Krishna will take it away. So when we take the Krishna consciousness, when we understand the philosophy, when we apply it, we become free from a lot of anxiety, a lot of distress. And I was saying in the beginning, people are so distressed and stressed out that they commit suicide sometimes, when they take pills for nervous breakdown or depression and all these different things. But when you realize you're not the controller, Krishna is the controller, and He's perfect, and then when you realize you have a relationship with Krishna, you understand what Krishna's plans are, then life is not so depressing. You realize that Krishna has a plan, and His plan is perfect. So if I adjust myself to His plan, my life will be perfect. But if I try to make my own plan, like Krishna tells Arjuna at the end, that if you pay attention to what I've said, then your life will be sublime. And if you ignore it and you do your own thing, then you'll be lost. And we see a lot of lost people in this world, a lot of confused individuals, because they don't know what the goal of life is. They don't have that foundation. And therefore they get swayed, they get exploited, they get cheated, they get so many things because they don't know who they are. So, if you know who you are, you know your spirit soul, then you cannot get cheated. Because you won't be influenced by the material elements. People get cheated because they get illusioned by people or material energy or whatever, and therefore they get exploited and cheated. But if you know your spirit soul, then you have that foundation, and therefore it's very difficult to get cheated. So I'll stop here. The time is up. I'll ask some if you have questions. That's always nice. Yes. Species and so forth, and we might feel it amongst all those species in this world, and we might feel ourselves very insignificant. Right? So how do what was that?
How can all these living entities have a relationship?
Oh, how can because how can all these living entities have a relationship with God? Well, because Krishna says He has a relationship with everyone. That is one of the definitions of God. He's a dokshaja, He's inconceivable. It's very difficult to conceive how God can have a relationship with billions and trillions and unlimited entities. And the material world is only 1/3 of the spiritual world. The spiritual world is 3/3. 2/3. So imagine. So it's inconceivable. Therefore, we cannot You cannot understand. We give that example of the frog in the well. The frog in the well tried to understand how big the Pacific Ocean was. And he blew himself up and finally blew himself completely because he said, is it twice the size, this size? But he could not ascertain by looking at himself in a small pond what is the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean. So we cannot, from an intellectual point of view, from Jnana, understand Bhakti. Bhakti is not Jnana. There's an element of Jnana, we will use an aspect, but Bhakti is something else. It is beyond Jnana. And sometimes when people try to just, conceive God from a Jnana point of view, they lose faith. So it has to be a revelation. As we apply ourselves to Krishna, Krishna will reveal himself to us. And when he reveals himself, then we'll understand these things properly. It's just like a child. A child has no notion of sexuality because he hasn't reached puberty. It's only when he reaches purity that he'll understand sexual connotation. Prior to that, he has no capacity. So we're like children. We have to reach that level of purity where we can understand. We have to mature in our spiritual life. Then we'll understand these things. So, yes.
Maharaj Parikshit, you had 7 days to live, and this gave him this urgency to stay awake and hear attentively for 7 days. Even though we've heard so many messages about how we're going to die, still, that how do we have at least a bit of that urgency?
So the question is, Maharaj Parikshit had 7 days, so he felt, okay, I've got 7 days, so let me hear the Srimad Bhagavatam. He was very attentive, he didn't fall asleep, he didn't drink with it. But us, we know these things, but sometimes we're not so attentive, we don't see the urgency of it, so how can we develop that? That developed by Sadhu Sangha. Associate with those who have developed that. And then because just like I give an example of a child, if you give him $100, he doesn't know the value. You can easily trade that $100 for anything, because he doesn't know the value. But an adult, if I give you $100, you'll leave it put in your pocket. You won't let it lie because you know the value. It's a piece of paper, but you know the value of that $100. So if you associate with those who know the value of Srimad Bhagavatam, who know the value of Krishna consciousness, then they'll become contagious. So if you associate with a thief, you'll become a thief. If you associate with someone who's sick, you'll become sick. And if you associate with a saintly person, you'll become saintly. So other questions? Yes? You'll have to come closer, please. I'm sorry. Old age, our hearing gets bad.
Yeah, so the question is, in life we constantly chase different memories and experiences for personal enjoyment. And given that we are also dedicating some time for Krishna, then is like chasing different experiences for personal enjoyment in a certain threshold a wrong pursuit? Like what should be a good balance between like dedicating your time to Krishna and chasing experiences for Krishna?
Well, there should be two things. There should just be one. Krishna says, that we should be fixed. So we have to now learn how to incorporate everything for Krishna. Because we're actually spirit soul. We're meant to serve Krishna. That's our position. Eternally we're servants of Krishna. So whatever we do, we have to see how we can incorporate that for Krishna. And if we can't, then we have to question, why am I doing it? Why am I doing this if it's not helping me get closer to Krishna? If it's not making me get closer to Krishna, it means it's interfering. So just like when you're on a radio station, if you're not on the station, you get distortion, static. That's called an anartha, distraction. We want to be on the clear station so we hear very clearly. Otherwise, you won't hear the so it requires expertise. That's why when we have a spiritual master who will guide us, and he'll be able to see what kind of life. Doesn't mean that you have no material aspiration, but those aspirations can be dovetailed for Krishna. So that's called karma mishra bhakti or jnana mishra bhakti. And as we dovetail our propensity for Krishna, gradually Krishna will become more important than the activity. Yes.
So if someone wants to understand Krishna in some way, then could you like give some explanation?
Does that work? Does that work?
Hello.
Okay.
So I wanted to understand like what exactly Krishna means in a concise way. Like I've been following the lessons, but still I am not able to comprehend like what exactly it means. So.
Well, Krishna is a person, just like you're a person. And because Krishna is a person, he has feelings, he has desires, he has things he likes. And being part of Krishna, we're meant to serve. Just like your hand serves you. If your hand's not serving you, it means it's sick, it's disease. Right? If you can't fulfill, if I can't move my arm, it means something's wrong because I should be able to move my arm. So it's part of me. My fingers are part of me and they're meant to serve me. If they're not serving me, there's something wrong. So being part of Krishna means I have to be serving Krishna. If I'm not serving Krishna, it means I'm diseased. Something's wrong with me. My consciousness is not in the right place. So Bhagavad Gita and all the scriptures and everything we do is to try to align that consciousness back to where it should be, to Krishna. And so, as we progress, right now it seems that God is abstract. We don't see Him, we don't feel Him. But as we progress, as we develop and we get purified, we'll start feeling Krishna. Krishna will reveal Himself to us. And then we'll start actually knowing, why am I serving Krishna? And there'll be a time where you won't want to forget Krishna for 1 second. The gopis, when they're blinking of their eyes, they curse Lord Brahma, thinking what a fool he is for creating eyelids, that the blinking is disturbing so much, because at that moment I cannot see Krishna. So there'll come a time when we'll be so attached to Krishna that even that will become a distraction to us. But, as a child, it doesn't start running, it starts crawling and gradually standing and eventually walking and running. Well, the process is the same. Gradually, as you progress, and if you do it properly, you'll actually perceive Krishna. Yes? Well, thank you for all these questions.
Hello.
Hare Krishna.
This is my first time here, so thank you so much for being so welcoming, first of all.
Well, thank you for coming.
And I have a question. So my question is, does Krishna reward good actions? And does he punish bad actions?
Well, good and bad is a relative thing. Good and bad. Actually, Krishna doesn't punish us. We punish ourselves by distancing ourselves. Just like winter is what? It's the absence of the sun. When the sun is in a distant place, then the winter comes. It's not the fault of the sun. It's just that the earth has moved in such a way that now it's not getting the direct sunlight as it does in the summer. So we actually have positioned ourselves in such a way that we suffer. And of course, there are pious activity, good deeds and bad deeds, but these are all relative, because even good deeds will cause you to come back, reincarnate, to reap the fruits of those activities. So even if you do nice charity to others, you'll have to take birth in your next life to reap the benefit of those good deeds. Therefore, material or good deeds or bad deeds are still on the material platform. We have to come to the transcendental platform, which is known as Sudasattva, where we transcend all activities. there's no good or bad anymore. It just becomes transcendental. That can only take place when we offer things to Krishna. That's why we so much focus on becoming Krishna conscious. Because there is no karmic reaction, good or bad. Even if you become, like Princess Diana, you could say, wow, what a wonderful, but she had such a terrible car accident that she died. Right? So, although she was glamorous, very beautiful, famous, so many people chasing after her, wanting to take pictures, but that caused her death. The paparazzis. So the material world is, no matter, you can be a beautiful, wonderful movie star, that doesn't mean you're not going to have a car accident, or that your child's not going to be born crippled, mentally handicapped, or so, even movie stars, they commit suicide. Why? Because the material world is such a nasty place that even though from a material point it seems very glamorous, very wonderful, but everyone is suffering in the material world, good or bad. Therefore, we have to come to the point of transcendence, transcending the karmic reaction of good and bad. Any other questions?
We speak about deeds, we speak about good deeds, bad deeds, as you currently said. How impactful are our thoughts or intentions? Do they weigh the same as deeds, less, more? How impactful would be our thoughts and intentions? Would they weigh the same, less, or more than deeds?
Well, any activity, any thoughts, any things that we have creates a reaction, karmic reaction. So as this other lady was asking the question, from a relative point of view, good thoughts, good deeds, good activity, that's nice, it's pious. It's much better than being someone who's demoniac and stealing and all these different things, for sure. But it's still relative to the material world. Because even though I may feed someone, and I may be very charitable to that person, does that mean that person will not die? That person will still die. He may die later, he may die right away because it's not starving, but he'll still die. So, the good and the bad is very relative to the material world. But when you understand that we're a spirit soul, we have nothing to do with the material world, then the good and the bad, the good deeds, the bad deeds, the good thoughts, the bad thoughts, they become irrelevant. And that's why Krishna in the Gita says that always think of me. He doesn't talk about good or bad deeds. He talks about always think of me, become my devotee, worship, offer things to me. And then you become free from the karmic reaction of the material world, good or bad. So, of course, we don't discourage someone from doing good, pious activity. Right? But we also have to help people understand that that is very limited. And it's not the son of Mona. It's good, but it's not perfect. Perfection comes when Krishna is added to it. So all these are like zeros. I give you a check and I put 10 zeros. It's still worth nothing. When you put the one, Eko Bhavudam Yudhitara Kama, when you put one like Krishna, then there's 10, 100, 1,000. But if it's just zeros, it still has no value. So the material world is like that. It's a place. And we see, how nasty. How many people are trying to help people in Gaza, but they're still bombed? How many people are trying to help people in Ukraine, but they're still being bombed? And we think, okay, these are so bad. These countries are during a war, they're being bombed. But there are people dying in Canada. It's not like people are not dying. And I may be worried about these people who are being bombed, and it's obvious, and it's unfortunate. But I'm going to die still. It's not like, hey, I'm eternal, because I'm not being bombed by the Russians. No, I'm still going to die. So, the reality is no one's going to survive. Everyone's going to die. Now, how are we going to die? What consciousness we're going to have at the time of death? That is what we're trying to develop. Otherwise, we'll have to come back to the samsara cycle of birth. Okay, thank you very much.
Everybody stay in the temple room. We just have a small presentation to offer you. Okay, and then Prasadam will be served. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for coming for our Sunday feast. We just have a small presentation I'd like to show you about some of the improvements we've been doing in our temple. So we just have a small presentation that I'd like to offer you all. I'm just waiting for a couple of devotees to come so we could just show you all the hard work that's been put into our temple improvement plan. Hare Krishna. But please be patient for just a few moments, okay, and then we'll get started. Okay, they're just coming down. Thank you. I'll just take a few minutes.
So welcome everyone. I think you may have remembered myself and my wife, Vishaka. We were here just about 3-4 weeks ago to deliver a presentation about the temple revitalization within ISKCON Montréal. And we shared our vision for the future during that time. We talked a little bit about the need to establish a Govinda's restaurant, a gift shop, and then a front desk, and then also some future plans in terms of establishing an ashram. So with that, we're just going to start the presentation by sharing a little bit of an overview of what has taken place since our last update. And we'll talk a little bit about what's also planned in the future. So I'll turn it over to Vishaka to speak a little bit. So as we get the presentation started, I just wanted to share a little bit of an update with all the changes that have been taking place over the last few weeks. The temple has seen a lot of improvements, and in order to make sure that things are going forward in the right direction, it's also really important to make sure that we have the right leadership in place. So with that in mind, I wanted to introduce, who many of you already know, Charit Prabhu, who will be assuming the role of temple president for this month. So Charit Prabhu will be assuming the role from Anubhava Prabhu, who's been a pillar in the community for about 17 years or so, and he has a big shoes to fill, but we know that we're confident that he will do a wonderful job in this role as temple president. Over the last few weeks when Vishak and I were here, we saw how much Charit Prabhu has been involved with understanding how the temple operates, what are the opportunities, and just bringing the community all together. Everything that you're seeing today in terms of the bistro, the gift shop, the reading corner, the office space, the fun school is really a result of Charit Prabhu's hard-earned efforts. So I think I'll just pass it over to Charit Prabhu to speak a little bit about the other devotees who are joining the management, and then we'll proceed over to the presentation of the temple revitalization.
Thank you, Prabhu. First of all, I just want to thank each and every one of you for coming today. It means from the bottom of my heart, I'm very grateful that you're here, enlightening our temple and participating in all our revitalization efforts. And I want to thank, first and foremost, His Grace Anubhava, who you know very well, our long-standing, dedicated president. He has been my mentor, and he's guided me through this process, and He's the one who's empowering me in this seva. So please, Anubhava will continue to be a pillar in our community going forward. So that being said, I'd like to introduce some of our fellow council members. So the way the temple is going to be structured from now on. Yes, I will be the president of the temple, but I'll be assisted by our council, the temple council, which is made up of 6 or 7 members, I'll count them right now, that we have. And these members all have different departments in our temple, and they'll be in charge of different portfolios. So first I'll introduce His Grace Madhu Kishore Prabhu, who is all his wife have been a pillar of our congregation, and he is in charge of congregation development, the Sunday feast schedule, festival planning, so many dossiers and portfolios that he has. So please come here, Prabhu, and stand next to me. Next, I have His Grace Dieter Kantadas, right here. He is also part of our temple council. He's going to be in charge of the treasury of the temple, so very important seva. And also at the same time, he has many portfolios, including involvement in the Govinda's Bistro, logistics, different IT aspects of the temple. So he is very, very important. So please give him a round of applause. And then everybody knows His Grace Samir Prabhu. He couldn't come today, but he is such a pillar of wisdom in our community. And then finally, none of these renovations could have happened. He is not here present right now because he has 2 small children that he's taking care of. But he is here till late night, midnight sometimes, renovating the bistro, doing all the painting. He is, he's fantastic. His name is Praveen Prabhu, who we all know. And then also joining our temple council is Devanshi Prabhu here, who is currently leading our School of Bhakti, or Bhakti Academy, which is going to be a training facility that we're going to be developing in the next phase of our renovations. So with that being said, shall we just go ahead with this small presentation I wanted to show you. Maybe I'll come on this slide. Can everybody see this properly? Is it large enough? Okay. So the grand vision of this temple, this facility is primarily an educational facility to educate us in spiritual life, right? Based on the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita and all the different Vedic scriptures that we have access to. That has been given to us by our founder Guru, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is sitting there on the Vyasa there. So those books have all been written for us to absorb. So the idea of the Bhakti Academy is to give students semesters, 3 to 6 month semesters, maybe 1 year semesters, where they can get immersed in the study of Vedic scriptures to learn Krishna bhakti. And they will have a dedicated ashram living facility, and they'll have dedicated teachers. So there'll be a very enlightening program for them to get immersed in this program. And it's really meant to enlighten the temple, right? As you see here, we have maybe 200 people here on Sunday feast. But the idea is we have programs going 7 days a week in our temple. So that's the whole idea of the Bhakti Academy. Hare Krishna. Next, as you know, the Hare Krishna movement is an outreach movement. We are meant to share spiritual life with others, right? Because material life can be very difficult, right? And we want to solve the problems of life, right? And that's suffering. So that's the whole part of our movement. And our main avenues for preaching and sharing Krishna consciousness is our outreach program. So that means we go out and we chant Hare Krishna in different places in the city. That is called Kirtan, right? We have programs in different people's houses in the temple. So these programs are very important to us. And this is our seva for the society, right, that we offer. What we can offer is spiritual knowledge to everybody. Okay, thank you. And then finally, one way people access spiritual life, particularly, is through prasadam, or eating sanctified food, right? That is vegetarian, that is healthy, that is nourishing the soul. So hence, we have opened the brand new Govinda's Bistro. Okay? And that is because of the hard work of Vishaka Prabhu, Punishravan Prabhu, and all their team, including Love Prabhu and Praveen Prabhu. So please give them a big round of applause. So this is to help, and then the boutique is right next to it to help facilitate your devotional lifestyle. So all kinds of different products that we've ordered that are very helpful in enhancing your spiritual life. Okay. So let's go over some pictures about the work in progress that has been done. There was much cleaning that was done in the temple. I think we had about 6 or 7 big containers that we removed from the temple. We had it out back, and a lot of things have been cluttered for so many years. So it's very important if you want to practice spiritual life, that you have a very, if you want to have a clean heart, then you also have to have clean surrounding. So that's how it all started. So that was a big monumental effort that all are doing these days. So please give them again a round of applause. I know each and every one of you can realize how clean the temple is compared to if you've come here in the past. Okay? So it's a big effort. Thank you. Next. So this rejuvenation has been going on. If you remember how the seating area here was before, where they painted everything here nicely to give a very, what we call sattvic mood in the temple, or mode of goodness. So there's all kinds of small enhancements and big enhancements that I've made in the temple. Just to give you an idea, when you walk up the stairs, we've repainted everything nicely so that it's more pleasing to you all. And I'll mention it again, our new gift shop, the Matchless Gift Shop. The reason we chose this name, this shop is the same shop that we have, or the same temple we have in New York City. It was first called Matchless Gift Shop. It used to be it was our first temple, right? On 26th 2nd Avenue in downtown New York City. So that's what it was before and after, right? And this is all because of Vishaka Prabhu. She's trained in design, fashion design. That's her background, so she knows all these things. That's how this came to life. And then upstairs, we created a brand new office so that devotees who are managing the temple will have a proper space with which they can do seva here, or service for all of you all. Because it has to be a very organized space. So you can see how the office right there on the top there, how it was optimized and enhanced so that everybody can have a good place to do their managerial duties. And then finally you can see here, Govinda's, that place wasn't actually being used before. It was just a seating area, and you could see the huge transformation that's occurred. And I want everybody to go and see after. And please, if you can, if there's something you like on the menu, please take it. Okay. Here's this one. This is a video from Saturday, the function we had inaugurating all the new areas. reading corner upstairs. So this is where I need all of your help, okay? Because you've all been attending this temple for maybe the first time, maybe you've been coming here for years, okay? Generally, in this material world, everybody is focused on one thing. It's called, there's a Sanskrit word, it's called Artha. Artha means, for most people, it means economic gain, right? Because there's four things in life: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. But in the Western world, everything is focused on Artha. So one of the meanings of this word is economic gain. The other meaning of this word means something of value in your life, right? So ultimately, Artha for us, we're practicing this Krishna conscious movement, means the most valuable thing for us is devotion to the Supreme Lord, right? Because that is what satisfies the heart the most and cures all the ailments that we are facing. So, most, like, Artha in the common sense means your standard of living, right? So we are very preoccupied with our standard of living here in the Western world. But we should also, Artha actually, in this context, in the context of spiritual life, means improving your standard of giving, right? So, standard of living now becomes your standard of giving, right? So this temple floor here that you're all sitting on right now, okay, there may be one of you that's sitting on a loose tile that can be lifted up, right? Everybody's had this experience where the tile has been quite loose here. So what I'm asking everybody here to do, we've invested some of our funds to try to enhance the front of the temple, because that'll help us do some service to the community and help support the structure, as you know. So what I'm asking everybody here, there's 50 by 40 tiles here, 2,000 tiles. What I'm asking is, we're going to be starting this campaign now, that if each and every one of you in your family, so if you're a family of 4, if you can please sponsor one tile for each of your family members, okay? I've already spoken to some nice devotees here. We already have sponsorships of 10 tiles for each family member. So we have multiple tile sponsorships, which we will post outside. And what I want to do after is, once we reach our target, then we can enhance this temple floor that has been graced by so many great souls throughout the last 50 years, right? So this is an opportunity for you all to give something back to the temple. And I'm humbly asking you, I'm begging you all, please offer something to the temple. If you can sponsor some tiles in the name of your family members, loved ones, anybody who's even, if you want to honor a loved one who's passed away, this would be a wonderful opportunity for you to get one of these tiles, and then we can make it wonderful. And you will always know that when you come in this temple, I've contributed to this something. You can see the results now, how we are using your donations to make the temple really pleasing and very acceptable to you and very pleasing to the whole community. So this is what I'm asking. And what I'm going to do personally is, whatever tiles that have been sponsored by the whole congregation, I will do my best to match those donations by myself. You want to hear something funny? You know, I was walking to the temple today. I was a little nervous to speak in front of you all. I was walking on this side street right here, and then there was a bird in the tree, and he pooped right on my face, coming here, and right in my eye. Well, I said that, I said, oh boy, this may not be a good evening. But then my wife said, actually, it's very auspicious for a bird to poop on your head. Fellow devotees here in the temple, and if you can just put up your hand and please pledge something in your heart, you don't even have to tell me the number of tiles, then I would really appreciate it. Please, let's get fired up about this. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you.
We see some hands. Let's get your name. Please say your name and how much you would like to donate. And we can get a notebook just to take record.
Yes, His Grace Sachin Prabhu. Hare Bol! 4 tiles for all his family members. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
And just to add, as the donations for tiles are made, these tiles will actually be removed
and offered to
Srila Prabhupada and given to you as a gift, engraved with ISKCON Montréal. So this is the same set of tiles that so many devotees have danced on, and Srila Prabhupada had actually walked below the surface here as well. So you're bringing a piece of history home with ISKCON Montréal coming to your house.
Yes.
I saw a few other hands. Yes, please. It's your first day. Please introduce yourself.
6 tiles! First time in the temple!
Your name?
That's our first day.
Wonderful.
Hare Krishna! Maybe you can go and just take her details.
I saw a few other hands. Yes, Prabhu, please.
100 times.
Wow.
100 tiles!
Please keep in mind, we just have a limited number of tiles available. So he already sponsored 100 tiles.
So let's see.
I saw another hand raised. Yes, please go ahead. Your name and the number of tiles.
10 tiles!
I'm losing track of the counts, but is anyone else would like to show?
10 tiles!
Please. 5
tiles!
Please provide your name as well so we can just follow up with you after.
Yeah, after anybody who's pledged time, please come and see Devanshi.
Yeah, she'll come by.
She'll come and meet you, and please take your kind details, okay? And remember, when you're offering to the temple, we all know that we will issue a tax receipt for 50% of their donation, okay? So that will get back for sure. Okay. Is there any other pledges, please? We'll keep them.
Yes, please.
Hari Bol! Nityananda, 10 tiles!
So nice to see the youth getting behind this project.
He's a young boy just starting university. Thank you. Oh, it's getting expensive for me now.
Devanshi, one of our new temple council members. Please go ahead, Devanshi.
5 from Bhakti Academy in Toronto. All of your hard-earned Lakshmi, or the money that you're earning, now is becoming a spiritual asset. Nobody can take that away from you. You're going from material bank account to spiritual bank account. It's never erased.
I just got a message from Indresh Gora Prabhu, who's our GBC zonal supervisor, and he has agreed to provide sponsorship for 10 tiles as well.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Dhirakanta
Our
Prabhu.
friend Dhirakanta Prabhu, our temple councilor, 10 tiles.
I also want to add another member of our council who was just introduced today. Praveen Prabhu has agreed to sponsor 10 tiles as well.
Hare Krishna. He's sponsoring and he's doing all the same to repair everything. Can you believe it? What is the commitment? This means taking responsibility, right? In spiritual life, right? Because at the end of this life, everything's erased, right? Start over again, right? So the more you give to Krishna, the more assets you build in your spiritual bank account. Krishna will provide everything that you need.
And I just want to add, as a large institution like ISKCON Montreal, we really rely on donations to keep the temple running. And these projects that you've seen, the bistro, the boutique, they've been front-loaded because in order for the temple to generate Lakshmi, it's important to have nice projects like restaurants and gift shops available. This will help fund future projects like the ashram, and the contributions that you're making right now with the tile donations is also going towards these large projects that are going to be quite costly in nature. So every bit counts. It's not about the dollar amount, but it's what you give in the heart, and Krishna will reciprocate with you. So please give whatever you can. Is there anyone else that would like to make a donation?
Whatever you feel in your heart, I'll tell you a small story. Okay, I'll conclude with this. There's a great epic, it's called Mahabharata. Everybody's heard of Mahabharata before? The great epic of India, right? The biggest battle the world has ever seen. And for those who have never heard of it, it's well worthwhile to hear about it. There was an episode where there was a great warrior. His name was Karna, right? Somebody came to Karna once and asked him, a poor person asked him, and he was a king, can you please offer me something, right? And in our culture, there's one practice that we do, that we offer everything in the right hand, because the right hand is considered little auspicious. And Karna, what he did, he gave it off in his left hand. Do you know why? Because the reason he gave it in his left hand, which was considered slightly disrespectful to that person, was because by the time it transferred from left hand to right hand, he could have changed his mind. So if you want to do something good for Krishna, for the temple, for this place where you get spiritual nourishment, if your inclination is to give something, follow your heart. Please, I beg you, from the bottom of my heart. If you feel like you want to give something, all right, and you can take your time to pledge, but making the pledge, making this conviction, making this sankalpa, right, this vow that I will give something to this temple because I've received so much, is so important. Okay? So I'll just leave that last thought with you all. I will kindly request that anybody who has pledged, we have a nice front desk there at the front. Please stop by that desk before you take your dinner, your prasadam, okay? Please give your details, okay? And then we will contact you, okay? So that you can fulfill your vow and your pledge, okay? And we'll keep doing this every week so that we get all the tiles sponsored in the temple. Is it okay? Acceptable for everybody? Hare Krishna, thank you. Everybody, whoever's pledged something, please stop by the front desk. Vishaka Prabhu will be there at the front desk. She will take all your details. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare
This is good. Thank you.
your wonderful Kirtan.
When you